And we're live. Welcome to Unmuzzled chat with the forgotten freaking soldiers. We got John and Scott, and I'm psyched for this kind of a trial run, but I want this to be informational, promotional. Is me and Scott were even chatting before John popped on. Scott was giving me all sorts of invaluable sources that every American should have in their back pocket, that everyone should be looking into. I could already hear one of you fellas like playing the reverb. I heard that. I told you it's gonna be a bit lagged. But but how cool is that though, right? To be able to stream both profiles at the same time right here on Unmuzzled chat, streaming live, and we're also streaming live to the forgotten soldiers. And fellas, what you guys are doing over there is nothing shy of honorable. You guys are more so than fulfilling your oath in my book, even after like getting the boot due to the tyrannical, illegal, criminal orders during the pandemic. It's an unfortunate reality we're all faced with, but the reality. But what do we do with that? Sit back, cry, tuck tail, run, spiral out of control, or we squeeze the shit out of it, make as much lemonade as we can, right?
We definitely did that. That's for sure.
Well,
in more ways than one.
The guests you've had on, and you even sent our way. That's kind of a disclaimer to our listeners. The majority of these warriors that are getting sent over and we're having on the podcast are mainly coming from these two gentlemen right here, John and Scott. So my hat is off to you. Anything I can do to help magnify all the efforts and energy and work you guys are putting into things, I am at your service. Like, I know what goes on behind the scenes, and you guys, on my side, and it's a lot, but you guys are actively, signing waivers, supporting documents, filing. There's so much you're doing. In fact, Scott, we can dive into some of the things you talked about. So we've brought up before the militaryaccountability.net.
That's right.
Yep. That's something for everyone to check out and sign, right?
Absolutely. So that's for all American citizens to sign the petition. And we put that out. Well, it was actually put out by Brad Miller and Commander. So we collectively other military members along in that. So there's tens of thousands right now who put that out there. We all signed it. The majority of us, the 231. And basically it's a declaration to the people to hold military leaders accountable for what had taken place during the scamdemic, or what I like to call entrapment. And I know John can put his sense into it because, he came up with the Forgotten Soldiers podcast, which is helping bring the stories out of all military members who either stood up against it or who were affected by it. So we hold no grudges whatsoever. We're here to take care of our military brothers and sisters, and we're also here for American citizens that we swore an oath to this country to protect. So, John, take it away, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Scott. Yeah, so I mean, it's a long road, and each story that we've come across, and even Scott's story, my story, and if you go through the Forgotten Soldiers on Rumble and on my Facebook, it's actually Delarm John. You can get on there, and all the stories are on there as well. They haven't, cut me off yet. But
wow.
Everybody that speaks out, it's always the same. They're always alone in this fight by themselves, and they had the courage to stand up and do what was right. And it's not that they or we, are like against vaccines or any of that stuff. It's just if you actually dig into the vaccine itself and you understand, you read the laws, the regulations that are in the military as well as the civilian side, U.S. Code 1107 Alpha, if you start digging into all this stuff, and you look into the CDC and the FDA, you realize that, the vaccine was never there, right? So these individuals, to include Scott, they're courageous individuals who stood up, not just for themselves, but they're standing up, telling their leadership, hey, this is illegal. You got to stop this. And
Right.
you see individuals getting injured and hurt as well. So you're trying to protect, especially on the NCO side, you're trying to protect your soldiers, because without the soldiers, you have nothing. That's the whole fighting force. And like I said, every story that's told, the one thing that's in common, well, there's a couple things. Like, obviously, they all stood their ground against individuals with higher rank than them that are telling them to do something unlawfully. But we all felt that we were alone in this fight. So, Scott's over there on the Air Force Base, and what was the National Guard? Scott?
No, you're right. No, you're right.
Yeah.
911th Air Force Base out of Pittsburgh. So you got it.
Wow.
Right. I'm over here on Fort Bliss, Texas, and all this stuff's happening, and we're standing up, trying to tell everybody it's illegal, trying to show them the laws, the rules, regulations, pushing protected communications up through the chain of command, all by ourselves, all alone in this fight. And so, there's PFC Derek Wynn. He was PFC. It's only got a year in the military, maybe a little bit longer, but one of the lowest rankings in the military. You got E1, E2, and E3. He was the E3. So, and it goes all the way up to E9 on the enlisted side. So that's how low he still was, trying to get his career going. And he's by himself fighting this mandate, which was unlawful. And so we all felt we were alone in this entire situation. And we came out of it. We got kicked out. I got kicked out of the military illegally. It was unlawful, because the information and black and white, by law, we were on the right side of this whole thing. And the people in charge, they just didn't care. Just take the shot. Just take the shot. But like I was saying, we all, by the grace of God, we all came together and started fighting each other, right? And that's kind of where we're at now. We all find each other, and now we're starting to work together to stay in the same fight that we've been in. And to create the Forgotten Soldiers is to inform, the military and the civilian population within the United States, that every vaccine in the United States was emergency use authorized.
Right.
And, this means basically that, an emergency use authorized vaccine is a test vaccine. It's not approved. So they're still testing. Each batch is different. There's different, dosages of different things inside that vaccine, right? And they're trying to test it on the population and see what works the best, because we're their test dummies, basically, right? And
define what works best with these evil doers. It is absurd what they were able to get away with and how they did the whole switcheroo. It's nothing shy of criminal.
Yep.
So Scott brought up this right here, they AFLDS.org. So this is a source. Tell us a bit about this that you're using for.
Well, basically what happened was, in the beginning, with everything that was going on for me, I was kind of like doing my own research, and a lot of this stuff was popping up online as I was going through and finding out like what this stuff is. And come to find out there are other ways to combat it. Hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin. And then there's also, there's Z-Pak. And then there's also vitamins and stuff that you can take. So zinc, but you can't just take zinc alone. You have to use vitamin C. So vitamin C is the deployer of zinc into the bloodstream. And then you have vitamin D and quercetin and things of that nature. And just, dude, this stuff was out there, and you were trying to silence everything. So on top of that, what was going on, the silencing of cures, like never in our country have we ever seen anything like that. It was always people helping each other, us being united and looking after one another, whether it be military or what have you. But that's where I kind of came out and said, well, wait, time out. because now I'm seeing that this is actually a bioweapon at the time, which we come to find out 4 years later that it actually is.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's what they're calling it now. But at the time, I was calling for a timeout. So when I first stood up in front of my command, my squadron, it wasn't just on my behalf. It was like John had said, as an NCO, your duty, okay, is to protect your airmen. From in my case, or in his case, his duty as an NCO is to protect his soldiers in whatever branch, so on and so forth. Okay, that's my first thing. I already started seeing adverse reactions that were happening to airmen, not only on our base, but just out in the social media realm as well. So called for a timeout, basically just to look at both sides of the coin, handed out the information in front of the entire squadron to my commander, the major, first shirt, senior master sergeant, all the way down the line. Same thing as what John did in his situation. So what we did was we were basically going through our chain of command and doing things the right way, not flipping out, not going ballistic, because that's what they want. Okay, so, but just doing things by the book, how we were trained, and doing it the right way. It didn't matter at the time because they were going to do whatever they wanted. A lot of us already have a lot of documentation, real documentation. I'm talking about copies of these documents, not only that what we went through, but stuff that was given to us from people on the inside as well. So you have actual playbooks this thick of plans of what was going to transpire on that base. So that just goes to show you that they already knew what they were going to do, no matter what the case was, no matter what the situation was. It's our duty when we see something like that, say, hey, wait, time out. Let's look at both sides of the coin before you start doing this, because we already see what's going on, with other people.
Right.
And it's our duty to bring this forward to you. So on top of that, you've got what you're bringing up now, which is militarybackpay.org or .com. And it'll show all the class action lawsuits due to the COVID vaccine. Now, if there was no bioweapon or anything like that, then why are there lawsuits right now? Why was AFLDS putting out information about, hey, there are other cures other than this, do not take it. You know what I mean? Because it's a UAE vaccine, which means that we're all experiments.
Wow. So you could even file your own situation on this page.
Absolutely.
So with that though, the individuals have to be kicked out of the military for refusing the vaccine. So some people just try and get on there for whatever reasons, but if they don't specifically get kicked out for the vaccine, I believe also if it was like a forced retirement too, per the vaccine, then I believe they can jump on there too. But I know 100% if you were kicked out over the vaccine, you can jump in there and join on there, and it's already going pretty good.
Yep.
Wow, no kidding. Yeah, that's got to get the ball rolling here,
Well, it's actually been rolling. It's been rolling since, I would say, 2022, John?
Yeah, I think so. I would have to look on the website and check.
And then into 2023, when the NDAA, which is National Defense Authorization Act, was put into play, and then that was in January of 2023 coming into it. And like I said, then they started bringing people back in and stuff like that. And that kind of showed you too that, like, oh, if this wasn't set up to be an experiment, then why did you stop it? You know what I mean? Why didn't they just continue doing it the way that they were doing it? Because they were coercing people against their will. They were segregating military members. They were discriminating military members. Right there, those three things alone violate the UCMJ automatically. You know what I mean? And they're breaking their own rules. And then you start seeing people getting out and everything like, this is not what I signed up for. I signed up to serve my country.
And to jump on that too, Scott, even on Fort Bliss and probably everywhere else, but they were specifically on Fort Bliss, the female soldiers that were pregnant, they told them, oh, it's safe, it's good, go ahead and take it.
Unbelievable.
So you have that and I looked at the information at the time. They had no data on if you were pregnant or not. So basically said, oh, ask your doctor. But the military was like, oh, it's good, it's safe, take it. But there's no data on it. So how is this safe, for pregnant women? It's It's
It's
mind-boggling.
not. They had a laundry list of adverse effects. Pfizer did, in fact, and it was page after page after page, but that was part of the documentation that they didn't want released for over 70 years. To me, that just stinks of intent. And, oh, did John just drop out? He'll rejoin us.
Yeah, he'll come back.
But it's just egregious what all of you service members, military men that have put everything on the line for this country actually went through. And, I've just had a taste of it with a bit of John's story, a bit of your story, Billy, Chaplain James, Lance. He's one that you guys have been airing a bit more recently, right? Because he's still basically in solitary confinement due to that decision. And he's being actively targeted. And there's literally individuals of higher rankings, from my understanding, that have literally been fabricating things. And if he hadn't been as smart as he was on certain recordings and certain withholdings of documentations, like, he would have been found guilty of potential really egregious charges that could have been very detrimental to his family, to his little child.
Yep. Yeah, it was an 8-hour podcast altogether. I mean, I don't know if you had talked to him either or had him on your show, but it's pretty intense from beginning to end, not only his career, but the illegal cell extraction, how they, roughed him up and everything. And then,
right.
All the negative charges that he fought against on, he had an attorney and everything, but that to come back from 5 charges of not guilty. And then here we are all over again. They went after him again.
See,
he beat them out, and they still go after. And the reason why he's in the position right now is because he didn't want to go. They're putting him right back into with the same command and the same people that he fought already against. So of course there's going to be there's going to be, retaliation because of it, no matter what. And then they came right back at him again. You know what I mean? So this is what we're talking about. This is what these stories are so important. And it's also important for the American people to see what has been done to our military. And how do you take down a country? You go after the military first. And they just not only went after the military, but they went after the doctors, fire department, the police officers, the sheriff's department, American citizens alike. You know what I mean? So this was an attack on the country, no matter how you cut it. Anybody in their, their grandmother could say, oh, this would never happen here. Well, it did happen here. And it's up to us to come together united. And what I mean by fight back, I don't mean violence, because I don't want people to take out he's saying, going with no, we do it within a constitution. We do it within the rule of law, which is the law of the land. And we come together as one and we say, no more, we're done.
Well, evil doesn't fight fair, so it is going to take a mass awakening, which is clearly, thankfully, happening. But is it happening fast enough? I don't know. That's why I felt so passionate about the last 2-part episode I did over a Tucker Carlson episode. He had this doctor and her other sibling on. They are very well spoken, very educated. She essentially rises to the pinnacle of, medical, surgical, doctor, and realized, like, yes, this is needed, but this is nowhere near as important as to what is leading to all these people becoming sick. And it's no secret that obviously COVID jab, no good. Childhood vaccine schedule now under full investigation. And I forget the verbiage, but there's certain places already calling to have all those pulled, because there's no drug being administered that doesn't have negative side effects at all.
Right.
And it's a sick system that's been built that profits off of not helping us achieve health and wellness. It's just band-aids, right?
It's the direct opposite, really, because if you think
Yes.
about it, what brings the attention of everything that's been going on thus far is that if the
Yeah.
COVID vaccine was a quote unquote um, bioweapon, okay, and what are the ingredients in that? Then what are the ingredients in these other vaccines that they've been giving us all our lives?
Right.
And we know that in the military we get zapped up, you know what I mean, from boot camp
Right.
all the way up, you know what I mean. So it's not like we're against it; we're just against the way that they handled it. And now begs the question: what are the ingredients in these other vaccines? Whether it be Hep A, Hep B. I mean, why take it if you're not infected by anything? I mean, it's like putting the cart before the horse. You know what I mean? And
Right.
is this really doing? Are these vaccines really helping us, or are they doing more harm
Well, it's
than
ludicrous
good?
how
Right?
that's a great question. And the simple fact is, like, there's a reason why they're not trying to do peer-reviewed studies of the Amish versus the American people, because
Mhm.
the Amish that are unvaccinated and so many that are unvaccinated, the information is overwhelming as to children being raised up healthier, not receiving any, than receiving any, right? And that's where I really wanted to drive that point home, getting these doctors on and speaking out against the system, because ultimately, as horrific as all the shots have in fact become due to a corrupted system, it doesn't end there. The food itself is because I'm trying to get to a point where we can effectively get people engaged. Like, I'm sitting here in awe as to you two warriors and what you've already created on your podcast, that it isn't like viral across the globe. The simple fact, like, some of the utter trash I see on TikTok going viral versus reality, real threats. In my eyes, it just speaks to me that we have been poisoned. We have been diminished. Our resilience has been suppressed to such a degree. Like, we're not even willing to acknowledge, so many Americans, that we are, in fact, wars being waged upon us. And it's fifth generation warfare. It's different tactics than we're used to. Quite frankly, I feel there would be less loss of life if bombs went off in the majority of this country, because people would react to that, and it wouldn't be the slow accumulation of death. We would respond. It would be instantaneous death, but people wouldn't be so bold to be ignorant or argue back against those facts, how evil weaponizes words, such as vaccine denier. What a joke, man. Like, we should be able to question it. So a plane goes down, I can't question that manufacturer. I'm a plane denier. What a freaking joke. You
Yeah.
know? So it's healthy to question things. And I feel the fact you guys haven't gained the support I feel you deserve, and you just should have. I don't think you guys care at all about accolades. This is entirely a selfless journey you guys are on here, but it just proves a point that Americans have effectively been dumbed down. And that's why I really wanted to emphasize on that Tucker episode as to what we could do to up our resilience, to stop eating the poisonous food that is having negative neurological impacts, energy level impacts, function level impacts, illness, disease, all the above. So if we could up our resilience, then dang, not only may we might find ourselves with the additional bandwidth and time, but excitement to hear your warriors come on and blast their stories to the moon, fill out every link, the military accountability petition, and just taking all those steps we need to show up in mass to effectively combat evils not playing fair, right?
Mhm. Yep.
And James, what you said was like, vaccine deniers, right? We get labeled all this stuff, but if I can
Right.
if I can share something with you on the screen real quick, I can pull it up.
Absolutely. It's such a weaponization of words just to get people to cower and shut down. That's why we are Unmuzzled Chat, and we won't cower. And we want to help influence people to take their muzzles off, because the worst type of censorship is self-censorship.
Yep.
Can you guys see that?
Okay, so it's right there. I'll add it to stage. There it is.
All right, there it is. So this is a screen snippet basically off my desktop. And if you look at the bottom right down here, it's
Okay.
November 5th, 2021, right? And this is at the top left, you can see it's the CDC, website, right? So
Oh, wow.
basically right here, it's going to say the Comirnaty products are not orderable at this time. Okay. And if you read through this whole thing, it's going to say, let me see, vaccines. That's right here. At present, Pfizer does not plan to produce any product with these new NDCs, which they're talking about the new Comirnaty NDCs, and labels over the next few months, while EUA, emergency use authorized, products is still available and being made available for U.S. distribution. So what it's saying is there's Comirnaty, there's no approved vaccine, and that while there's EUAs available in the United States, they're just going to keep using those, right? And so, and like I said, this is November 5th, 2021. I have another one of these. I have it over there in the other room, but it's from, I believe, January of 2022. So the entire time, I can stop this share real quick. But these individuals, they were waiting for an approved vaccine, right? And as soon as it was approved, they were safe and effective, and they went out and they got vaccinated, and it doesn't matter if you're in the military or if you're a civilian, right? Because they're supposed to tell you if it's EUA, right?
Yeah.
That whoever's giving you that vaccine is supposed to say, hey, I just need to inform you that, the vaccine's emergency use authorized, and, we don't know what the side effects are possibly, and X, Y, Z, whatever. But by law, they're supposed to tell you they're injecting you with an EUA. I don't think that happened, right? So, and that was just November of 21, right? It's already been out since August of 21. So that's several months. People were getting their so-called approved vaccine when it wasn't approved. And a lot of people don't understand that. That's exactly what happened. So if you got, and that's the proof right there. And I'll just say all the way up to November 21, if you got a vaccine, you thought it was approved, it wasn't. But we have the proof that it went out farther than that as well. But that's what it is.
Yep.
I can't even believe how so many dealt with, because we even knew better about masking alone, with how effective tyranny was. We would need to rule out the corruption, because that shouldn't have been what it was, because it's kind of a medical procedure in and of itself as well. And that's horrendous. But the simple fact they moved the needle literally so far as to dupe so many under this like bait and switch, under an FDA approval, which it actually wasn't, which there wasn't proper informed consent. I mean, it's all criminal. Yep. They can't, in fact, enforce under an EUA, period. So, yeah, what has happened is egregious, and there's too many men that have lost their lives, and women and children, to this shot. There's too many men and women in the armed forces, service members, that got the boot, that stood on behalf of their oath due to a illegal criminal mandate. And on so many levels, I mean, we can't even imagine the level of suffering that has come from this whole pandemic, that they stood up on a lie. Mm-hmm. And it is it is delusional. I'll say it till the cows come home. I'll say it till we actually seek proper accountability, proper restitution for all the individuals that face this tyranny and unlawful, situation, that it would be delusional to go on with one's life without addressing what took place, because tyranny will never end unless it's stopped. And
the
you can
whole
see,
face mask thing, James, that you were talking about,
yeah,
it's obviously all a sham, right?
yes,
So if you get I believe it's an N95 mask, which is an actual surgical mask, on the box of that N95 mask, it actually says, is not used for viruses, right? It's a
right,
surgical mask. Why is it not used for virus? Because the virus is so small, it's going to pass through that mask. So you think
yeah,
a piece of cloth is
yeah,
better than a N95 mask for
yeah,
use for surgery? Like, no,
yeah.
it's not. And
It's
this isn't the first time in the United States that masks were being worn because of
right.
a sickness that came out. I don't remember the year, but you can look it up. But they wore masks in the United States. I don't know if it was 1940s or whatnot, but they had to stop doing it because it wasn't working and people were getting sicker because the masks were so dirty, they were getting sick off those masks.
Yep.
Right,
And then we just did it again in the United States like it's a thing.
right.
Not to
It's
mention
definitely
they're breathing in carbon dioxide, so instead of oxygen. So
Well, yeah,
you keep
that
doing that,
actually makes you stupider.
it makes you sicker. So
Stupider, sicker. Yeah, no, all the
Yeah.
above. I mean, I even addressed a parent with, a mask on herself and her little child. And I'm sorry, in my views, that's freaking child abuse. So I'm going to address it. But I addressed it in a loving way that I felt like I got through. I don't know. It at least planted a seed. But I essentially said, look, I could tell you're a loving parent. You clearly love this little toddler, and who wouldn't, right? But I want to share some information with you, because I know if we were to go down to the high school and get their microscopes and put your kid's mask under that microscope, and we had another professional next to us to tell us what we're looking at, I mean, the odds are we don't even need a professional, because you'll literally see squirmies on that mask, microscopic, like active bacterias and worm looking creatures. There'll be feces piled on there. And you want that on your child's face, ma'am? Like that alone, you wouldn't do this ever again. However, there's more crucial information out there than just that. The individuals that fed you this are liars. Okay. So there's information's key. And I wish her a blessed day. And she did ask, well, about sourcing, and I referred to Rumble. And I was like, you could punch anything in Rumble search engine and you'll get plenty to start, digesting.
Yeah, and another
Well,
thing on these face masks, since we're still kind of in that subject,
yeah,
when COVID came out, I was a drill sergeant. So, you know, um, these soldiers, there's 65 soldiers to a bay, and that's max, and there's 4 bays, so you can do the math. But these soldiers had to wear face masks, right?
yeah,
So think about it. You're a soldier, you're wearing a face mask. Even if you go to the field, you're running, you're low crawling in the dirt, you're getting hemmed up by a drill sergeant. Like, like these face masks are dirty and disgusting. You couldn't imagine how nasty. Some individuals wore a white face mask, but that thing was dirty, brown, black, and
right.
it was just disgusting, right? So I don't know. It's just
You worded
horrible.
it before. It's like you're waterboarding yourself as you're running your freaking drills.
Yeah, I
Like,
think
that's just,
Derek said that in your last video. Exactly what it
yeah,
was. Yeah.
yep.
now that's freaking horrific. Well, fellas, let me plug the podcast. I'm actually going to pull it up. Why not?
Yeah.
Forgotten Soldiers right here. Share. All right, listeners, right here, 89 followers. That is unacceptable. And as you could see, look, it doesn't even show views. Okay. I know we all would like to see views and click on the most trendy, but the reality of each one of these stories there's no point of comparison. Not any one is better than the other. Obviously, some are potentially more challenging or horrific to an extent, but it's not a competition. But these gentlemen, Scott and John, it looks like Scott just got disconnected. Maybe he'll get back on.
And the reason why there's no views on there is because we're not monetizing anything. We're not here to make profit. We're not monetizing. So that's
Yes.
why you cannot see the views.
Right.
Whether it's a lot or a little bit, it doesn't matter. The point is that we're just trying to get the information out to the people, right? And I covered anything and everything to do with the atrocities within the military of COVID-19.
Yep.
And then like right there, you got panels, right? We got individuals in each like National Guard, Coast Guard, Marines, Navy,
Wow.
Air Force, all telling their stories. And you said I did a couple interviews with, for candidates that signed the DMA that are running for office.
Oh, wow.
There's Nate Kane, right? And these are some of my earlier videos, so I'm just trying to learn and get a feel for it. But
You're
as we
doing
move
great
on,
work.
we grow.
100%. Well, I know we're all kind of learning from each other, and it's nice to just eat some humble pie and realize, hey, you know what? We're human. We're flawed. We're never going to be perfect, but that's the beauty of this life. It's a forever pursuit. And, I can attribute my greatest growth and humblings have been seeking, my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ and the bigger picture of it all, integrating God into our lives.
Yep.
So Scott keeps rejoining. I can't see it's your video's down. I think I could hear you.
Scott's up on mine. I got him on my phone. Everybody's up still.
Okay, that's good.
I don't see the screen share though.
Quick power outage
on the phone.
Okay. Yeah, I've been screen sharing your the Forgotten Soldiers folks. Just once again, be sure to check them out on Rumble. I don't believe I added the link to this episode yet, but I'll add it here shortly. But you just simply type in the Forgotten Soldiers and you'll see this image right here. And let's just mash them followers. Just follow, mash this button, click the bell icon so you get alerted, and just share these episodes. Like these stories about Lance. My gosh. And
yeah, and another thing I just found out maybe 2 weeks ago.
okay.
His family's still not getting paid. So he hit the desertion charge. He got arrested. So once he got arrested, he's no longer under desertion.
Wow.
And which is weird, because he was arrested for desertion, but he's not being charged with desertion for his court martial. But anyways, after he was arrested, he's supposed to have his pay turned back on. So I don't know if it's on now, but I know it was like probably after the 1st of August, he still wasn't getting paid. So I don't know, the 10th or 15th. So they owe him some money, but he has a son, probably I think now maybe almost 2. He might be a little bit older now, I'm not sure, but and then he has a family. And they're not getting
his
paid.
son was born when he was initially in custody, nearing that time where that viral footage happened, where they storm rushed his cell and beat on him a bit. Like he came out of it. He didn't come out of it unscathed, right? Like that's just talk about improper behavior, because like
right. He was pre-trial confinement. Confinement the first go around, and he requested to come out and see his son be born. They said no because they thought he was a flight risk.
Yeah.
Right, and they didn't allow him to attend his child's birth due to that flight risk, whatever threat as well. It's unbelievable the tyranny that Lance has dealt with thus far. It just frankly needs more support. All of that's what civilians even need to grasp, like wrap their mind around. Everything you guys are facing, everything you're pushing, addressing this tyranny is to not just, the benefit of our service members, but on the civilian level. Like, you guys are literally fulfilling your oath of the threats, foreign and domestic.
Yep.
And like, we need to get behind that. And you guys are now also opening up your platforms for civilians that either is it just vaccine related potential trauma or injury, or also because there were a bunch of civilians that stood and got fired from their jobs.
Anything and everything to do with the vaccine itself.
Right.
Whatever occupation you are, it doesn't matter. It just, if you want to tell your story and get it out there, we're here to do that for you.
Absolutely.
What's the best contact or method for them to get in touch with you?
So if they message me on Facebook, which is Delarm John, I'll respond to you. But also the best way to get a hold of me is the Forgotten Soldiers 19 at yahoo.com. That's where I get all my emails, and I'll check everything, and I'll get back to you as soon as I see it.
Yeah.
Delarm John on Facebook.
And Scott, you got some contact information as well. They can reach out to him as well. And,
yep. We'll put it up there.
Well, I know you gentlemen have things to do, and I'm just grateful to have you on. This was supposed to be simply a trial run to stream.
Before you cut off, James, I do want to say that this entire NRA technology is such a scam. And, they pushed it so hard. And I'll tell you what, when it was an emergency use authorized technology, it should have never been emergency use authorized, because according to the law, you cannot have something that's emergency use if you have, I believe it's a prophylactic or any kind of medication or anything that'll help the situation and make everything better. So that entire thing should have never happened, period. And then that's why they censored, President Trump when he said
they demonized ivermectin, they demonized HCQ.
Doctors couldn't pass it out. They were taking their their licenses away if they were trying to prescribe that and why? Because it's all about censoring and stopping that, because they knew it was a cure, and they censored it, and thousands of Americans died from it. That way they can push their mRNA technology out onto the American people. That should have never happened. So any mRNA technology that's going to now be in your flu shot, in the food, it's all a sham, and it's all illegal, and it should have never happened in the first place.
Yep.
See, you just hit the nail on the head right there, because those two products they demonized were in fact more safe, more effective, either one of them, than the actual bioweapon jab they created. I'll even jump back a little further. The whole pandemic was stood up on a defective, faulty testing. PCR testing had negative efficacy from day freaking one. If we actually, I still say define COVID. It hasn't technically been isolated. It's created. It's built up on lies. It's defective testing. It's unbelievable.
Yep. And when you talk about
go ahead, Scott.
When you talk about 5th generation warfare and everything, this is where it comes in at. It's all psychological. So those PCR tests, the masks, they make you think, oh, I'm sick, to push you to go get the vaccine. It's a set up trap, one step at a time.
Yes.
That's what it comes down to. And that's what happened.
It's
entrapment.
I mean, it's so clear at this stage. That's why I view the pandemic as a smoking gun. Please let it be that, so we can seek proper accountability and proper momentum. And then once we kind of address all the corruption there, we'll shift, because it's all intertwined, man. And we really got to address that to secure a future for ourselves, if you care, for yourself, or more importantly for our littles and our next generation. Because the current trajectory, I mean, I feel too many Americans are rolling the dice. They're leaving it up to one man's shoulders, aka Donald Trump, and they're just rolling the dice. But the thing is, if he doesn't have the proper support, even if elected, like what real power, what is he really able to get done without like unwavering support?
What Donald Trump said was he's going to give the power back to the American people. So he's not saying I'm going to take care of everything. He's saying I'm giving the power back to you, the people. And the people aren't doing anything. They're not exercising their power, and that's why we're getting stepped all over all the time.
And it goes right back to what I was saying before about the bad guys are the bully. Okay, so how many times are you going to come around the corner and get your rear end whipped until it's I've had enough, and now I got to fight back? Like how many times? So if we all come together collectively united, then once we stand up, all this garbage ends.
It's done. Yep. It's so done. Oh, I'm excited. Like, it's not doom and gloom, is it, fellas? Like, we get it with and that's where we're like, we kind of bang our heads against a wall at times, because it's like, if only people really would know and like do their due diligence. They're like, whoa. And then ones that are in the know, they're disheartened or discouraged. That's where it's like, man, up your health, up your resilience. Then you'll have that more so. Like this is kind of a thing I've been thinking about lately, is like every single one of us was born in this generation for a purpose, for a reason. Okay. Like if you really want to grasp like being an American, being in this era, this time, right here, right now, with fifth generation warfare running rampant, there's a role you play in it. Not everyone in a world war with fifth generation warfare. No, you can't just tuck tail and run. You were made more divinely. You have some gifts in there that the rest of humanity would benefit from. We just got to tap into that. And that's where I know no other better source than God himself, paving that path, treating your body right, getting your mind right, your spirit right. Then it isn't a doom and gloom situation. Not any one of us can shoulder the burdens. It'll crush us. But united, are you kidding me? Do not discredit yourself, listener. You could have far greater of an impact than you can even imagine. And if you even save one soul, yet a life, I'd venture to say that soul is going to bring such blessing to maybe not even so much this experience here, but why we're here. So some things to ponder, some things to think about, but I just hope more seize the opportunities we have at our feet.
Yep. And I'll say this too, this was a well elaborated, thought out plan for like ever, right? To go to school, the education system is not making our children as smart as they need to be. They're not teaching them what they need to be taught. Back from when I was a child, and probably my parents, right? Yeah. This is why society's so dumbed down. And this is why we're not standing up, because we're not educated and we're not educating ourselves. This is why they have sports, because people are so involved in their sports teams, they're not reading the law. And even if they're reading the law, they're not reading the right law. So when something happens to this magnitude, they don't know what to do. So they're scared to do something. They're scared to say something. They're scared to hurt somebody's feelings. So people need to come together, learn from each other, educate each other, and stand up together and take back our country legal and lawfully.
Yep.
Yes.
100%.
I can't say it better. Gentlemen, at that point, let's just ponder John's and Scott's thoughts throughout this episode and get on board. Let's get more followers over there, broadcast their podcasts on all your social media, send it out on your Rolodex, your whole text list, contacts, whatever you're calling it these days. But followers or listeners, we appreciate you. And we appreciate 100%. The ones that understand what we're trying to achieve here above all else. And what these two men are doing is entirely selfless, not even monetizing themselves, not even looking at views. It's just showing up, grinding, getting messages out. Like we got to support that 100%. So let's get behind them. Guys, God bless you. Thank you for doing this powwow today. I think it was a success. It looks like everything went through good. So let's move forward on scheduling out that other one. And so, yeah, spoiler alert, listeners, we got a powerful one coming up with these gentlemen and some additional soldiers. So we'll see what we're able to work out, but we'll keep you posted. Until then, take care.